On the night of February 3rd, 1943, at 11:42 p.m., the door to the basement beneath the house opened. Patrick Sullivan froze the moment he saw the woman emerging from the basement. The door shouldn't have opened. The door was locked. It couldn't open, but it opened, and the woman entered. The woman wore a black coat. Her boots were muddy, white clouds appearing with each breath. Patrick's rifle finger waited on the trigger. His pulse seemed to be in his ears. The woman stopped. She looked at him. She didn't speak. 5 seconds, maybe 6. Patrick didn't count. He just waited, muscles tensed, lungs burning. Then the woman spoke in English. "You're early." Patrick lowered the rifle, but his hand remained on the trigger. "You're late." The woman didn't smile, but her eyes softened slightly. "The patrol route changed. I had to wait." She came out from the basement door and set the bag on the floor. She opened it. Inside were maps, German positions, troop movements, artillery points. "From Caen?" she murmured. "I drew them 2 days ago. Still current." Patrick crouched beside her. The maps were hand-drawn, detailed, every building marked, every road named. "You drew these?" "Yes." The woman was younger than he'd thought. 21, 22 maybe, thin face, dark circles under her eyes. "Are you going to Caen?" "3 times a week." "You're crazy." "No, just doing my job." As she handed him the last map, her fingers touched Patrick's. They were cold, calloused. "You speak English well. You speak French better." This time her lip curved slightly, very slightly. Patrick Sullivan had learned at 23 that fear had a taste. It was metallic, like copper. There was a taste of blood in his mouth. Blood he hadn't swallowed yet. He joined the 82nd Airborne at Fort Benning in 1941. Parachute training, jump school, combat exercises. They'd taught him how to land without breaking bones, how to fight without hesitation, how to kill without thinking. But waiting, they hadn't taught him that. By early 1943, waiting was all there was in Normandy anyway. His unit was in England. Everyone knew the invasion was coming, but no one was talking. They did exercises, studied maps, jumped with parachutes into empty fields. At night, Patrick would lie in his bunk and think of home. Pennsylvania, his father's shop, his mother's kitchen, his little brother, the one who wrote every week asking, "When are you coming home?" He never knew what to answer. In January 1943, his commander pulled him aside. "Do you speak French?" "A little. My grandmother's from Lyon." "That's enough. You're going to France." "When?" "Tonight." On January 29th, they dropped him 12 kilometers outside Saint-Mary-Église. Midnight jump, low altitude. He broke his left ankle when he landed in the field. He hid in a barn for 3 days before the resistance found him. The woman who found him was named Camille. Camille Rousseau had stopped being afraid at 21. The fear hadn't gone away, actually. She'd just learned to walk through it. Like fog, like smoke, she'd walked through it. Her family had been in Normandy for 6 generations. They were farmers. Her father grew wheat. Her mother raised chickens. Her older brother Julian worked the fields. When the Germans came in 1940, Julian immediately joined the resistance. Camille waited 2 years. She waited because she had to be careful. Reckless people died quickly in occupied France. Her family needed her alive. In July 1942, the Gestapo arrested Julian. They'd found resistance pamphlets in his coat. They took him to Caen, interrogated him for 3 days. On the 4th day, they shot him in the prefecture courtyard. Camille heard the news from a neighbor who'd gone to Caen for medicine. She didn't cry, she didn't scream. She walked to the woods behind the house, sat under an oak tree, didn't move for 6 hours. When she came back, she told her mother, "I'm joining them." "Who?" "The resistance." Her mother gripped her arm tightly. "They'll kill you too." "I know," Camille said, "but I'll kill a few of them first." By September, she was doing intelligence work. By October, she was the best scout in the region. By December, she'd crossed German lines 47 times. She was counting because Patrick's ankle healed in 11 days. The resistance kept him in a safe house, the attic of a farmhouse. Camille brought food twice a day: bread, cheese, sometimes soup. She never stayed long, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. But Patrick began to wait for these visits. On the 4th day, he asked her name. "Camille." "I'm Patrick." The woman nodded, turned to leave. "Wait," Patrick said. "Why are you doing this?" Camille turned. "Doing what?" "Risking your life for me, for us, Allied soldiers." Camille was quiet for a moment. "My brother died because of the Germans. If I help you, I hurt them. That's enough for me. I'm sorry. About your brother. Don't be sorry. Just win the war." Then she left. On the 7th day, Patrick's ankle was good enough to walk. The resistance gave him civilian clothes. Camille would guide him to the coast. A fishing boat would take him to England. But the night they were supposed to leave, German patrols increased. Someone had talked. Informer, collaborator, didn't matter. The mission was postponed. Patrick stayed another week. That week, he learned some things about Camille. She was 21. She spoke 4 languages. She could find direction by looking at the stars. She never talked about her family. She never smiled. She drew the maps herself. Every detail was in her head. She'd walk around Caen twice a week pretending to visit a non-existent aunt. She'd count German trucks, time patrol routes, draw everything. "You're going to get caught," Patrick whispered one night. They were in the cellar, looking at a new map she'd brought. "Probably. Aren't you scared?" "I'm scared," Camille said. "But I do it anyway." Patrick looked at her. Really looked. She was so thin. Her hands were calloused, her eyes tired. But she was the bravest person he'd ever met. "When this is over, what will you do?" he asked. Camille folded the map. "I don't think about that." "Why not?" "Because we both might not survive." She was right, of course, but Patrick kept thinking about it anyway. February became March. Patrick was still there. Command kept postponing his extraction. Too dangerous, too many patrols. "Wait," they said. He waited. While waiting, something began to change. It started small. Camille stayed 5 minutes instead of 3, then 10 minutes, then 20. They started talking, not about the war, about before. Patrick told her about Pennsylvania, the autumn leaves, the clean snow, how his father fixed engines, his brother's terrible piano practice. Camille told him about Normandy before the occupation, summers on the coast, her brother teaching her to climb trees, her mother's apple pies that were always burned on one side. They didn't touch each other. They didn't need to anyway. On March 17th, Camille brought news. "There's a new patrol schedule. Starting tomorrow, they're going to check farms, looking for Allied soldiers. Do they know I'm here? They know someone is. They don't know where." Patrick's chest tightened. "Stop coming here. I'm the only one who knows where you are. Tell someone else." "No, Camille, no," she said again. Determined, definite. They looked at each other. "If they catch you, they'll kill you," Patrick said quietly. "If I stop, you'll starve. I can find food. You can't without being seen." She was right. The farm was too exposed. German trucks passed on the road 3 times a day. "Why are you doing this?" Patrick asked. "I told you. My brother—" "No," Patrick interrupted. "Why are you doing this for me?" Camille didn't answer. The silence stretched between them like wire. Then she spoke very quietly. "Because if you die, I'll be alone." Patrick felt something crack in his chest. "You're not alone," he said. "Everyone I care about dies. I'm not going to die. You can't know that. I know I'm going to try very hard not to." Camille looked at him. Her eyes were wet, but she wasn't crying. "Promise me something." "What?" "When you get back to England, don't come back here. Don't jump on D-Day. Don't land in Normandy. Go somewhere else." Patrick shook his head. "I can't promise that." "Why not?" "Because it's my job. Your job will get you killed." "Maybe." Patrick said. "But if I don't, more people die. People like you." Camille closed her eyes. "I hate this war." "Me too." She opened her eyes, looked at him. "If you die here, I'll never forgive you." Patrick almost smiled. Deal. March became April. Patrols intensified. Patrick was moved to a different safe house, an abandoned mill 2 kilometers north. Camille came to visit every 3 days. Each time, they had 4 hours together. 4 hours filled with maps, intelligence, conversation, and silence. On April 23rd, Patrick gave her his compass. It was brass, old, his grandfather's. There was an inscription carved on the back. "Always find your way home." "I can't take this," Camille said. "You will." "Why?" "To remember to come home," Patrick said. "When this is over. Don't stay here. Go somewhere safe." Camille held the compass. Her thumb traced the inscription. "Where is home?" "Wherever you want it to be." She put the compass in her pocket. 2 days later, Patrick's extraction was approved. A boat. April 30th. Midnight, Camille would guide him to the coast. On April 29th, they met at the mill for the last time. Patrick had written a letter. He didn't know when he'd written it. Maybe after the first week. Maybe after she brought him soup and stayed for 10 minutes. It didn't matter now. He'd written it, folded it, kept it in his boot. He took it out. "What's that?" Camille asked. "A letter." "To who?" "To you." Her face changed. "Patrick, don't read it now," he said quickly. "Read it later, after I'm gone." She took the letter. Her hands were shaking. "What does it say?" Patrick looked at her, really looked, at her dark hair, her tired eyes, her rough hands that had drawn hundreds of maps, saved dozens of lives. "It says I'm coming back." Camille's eyes filled with tears. "Don't make promises you can't keep." "I'm not. You don't know what will happen." "I know I'm going to try." They stood a meter apart. The mill was cold. Rain drummed on the roof. Camille stepped forward. She kissed him. It was quick. It was soft. It was over in 3 seconds. When she pulled back, tears were running down her face. "Go home, Patrick," she whispered. "Go home and don't come back." "I can't promise that." "I know." Before he could say anything else, she turned and left. Patrick reached England on May 1st, 1943. The boat dropped him at Portsmouth. He reported to his commander. Information transfer. Intelligence dump. Medical check. His ankle had healed perfectly. He was cleared for active duty. In his locker, he had Camille's maps, her sketches, her handwriting, and 8 more letters he'd never given her. He kept all of them. The weeks blurred. Training, briefings, equipment checks. They were going to jump into France. June 6th, D-Day. They didn't know exactly where. At night, Patrick would lie in his bunk and think of Camille. Was she still alive? Was she still running intelligence? Had the Gestapo caught her? There was no way to know. At the end of May, they told him his drop zone, Sainte-Mère-Église. Patrick's blood froze. This was 12 kilometers from where he'd hidden. 12 kilometers from the mill. 12 kilometers from Camille. He'd made a promise he couldn't keep. He was going back. June 6th, 1944, 4:37 a.m., Patrick jumped from a C-47 over Normandy. The sky was filled with planes. Paratroopers fell like rain. Tracer fire lit up the darkness. Explosions bloomed over the fields. Patrick hit the ground hard. His ankle twisted but held. He was 3 kilometers from Sainte-Mère-Église. The battle was chaos. Germans everywhere. His unit was scattered. Patrick spent 4 hours crawling through hedgerows trying to regroup. By dawn, he'd found 6 men from his company. By noon, 3 of them were dead. The battle lasted 2 days. Patrick fought through Sainte-Mère-Église, through farmland, through villages. On June 8th, his unit passed by the mill where he'd hidden. It was destroyed. Artillery hit. The roof had collapsed. The walls were rubble. Patrick's chest emptied. He didn't stop moving, though. They pushed inland. Carentan, Saint-Lô, Cherbourg. The Germans fought for every meter. Patrick looked for Camille in every village, every farmhouse, every face in the crowd. He never found her. On June 23rd, his unit captured a farmhouse outside Carrington. They found a woman inside, 48 years old, thin, scared. "Do you know Camille Rousseau?" Patrick asked in French. The woman's face went white. "How do you know that name?" "She's a friend. Is she alive?" The woman started crying. "The Gestapo took her. May 17th. Someone informed. They found her maps." Patrick felt the ground tilt. Where did they take her? "À Caen." "To the prison. Is she still there?" The woman shook her head. "They shot her June 2nd, 4 days before the invasion." Patrick stopped breathing. 4 days. He was 4 days too late. The war ended May 8th, 1945. Patrick returned to England, then Pennsylvania, then civilian life. He tried to forget. He couldn't. He kept the letters, all 9 of them, written in mills, barns, tents in Normandy. He kept the maps Camille had drawn. He kept everything. In 1947, he married a woman named Dorothy. She was a teacher, kind, patient. She never asked about the war. Patrick never told her about Camille. He worked in insurance sales, had children. But every night before falling asleep, he thought of a cold mill in Normandy, a woman who drew maps and never smiled, a kiss that lasted 3 seconds and changed everything. The letters stayed in a metal box in the attic. They stayed there for 50 years. Patrick died October 14th, 1993. Dorothy found the box 2 weeks later cleaning the attic. Inside were 9 letters to a woman she'd never heard of, and a compass engraved with words Patrick had never said out loud. "Always find your way home." Dorothy Sullivan was 68 years old when she discovered her husband had loved someone else. The attic was cold. November wind came in through gaps in the roof tiles. Her knees hurt as she knelt beside the metal box. 9 letters, all in Patrick's handwriting, all written to Camille. She opened the first one. "Camille, I'm back in England. It's been 3 days. They won't tell me when I'm jumping again. Probably June. Probably Normandy. I keep thinking about the mill, the rain on the roof, how you stood a meter away from me, like there was an ocean between us. I should have been the one to kiss you first." Dorothy's hands trembled. She read faster. "I don't know if you'll ever read this. I don't know if you're still alive. But I have to write it. I have to say this somewhere. I love you. I've loved you since the night you brought me soup and stayed for 10 minutes. Since you showed me the maps. Since you said everyone you care about dies. You're not alone, Camille, even if I never see you again. You're not alone." Dorothy put the letter down. Her vision blurred. She read the second letter, then the third, then all 9. Each one was dated. Each one was written between May 1943 and May 1944. 1 year, 51 years ago, but the words felt fresh, raw, like Patrick had written them yesterday. The 9th letter was the shortest. "Camille, I'm jumping tomorrow, June 6th, Sainte-Mère-Église. I know you told me not to come back. I know you told me to stay away. I'm sorry. I have to do this. Not for glory, not for duty, for you, for people like you who risk everything. If I die tomorrow, I want you to know something. You made me braver. You made me want to survive. You made me believe there was something worth fighting for besides orders and flags. Always find your way home." Patrick Dorothy folded the letters slowly. Her chest felt tight. Her hands were shaking. 50 years. She'd been married to Patrick for 46 years. They'd raised 2 children, built a life together, and he'd spent every day thinking of someone else. Dorothy sat on the attic floor for an hour. The box was still open. Inside the letters was something else. A compass, brass, old, engraved on the back. "Always find your way home." Patrick's grandfather's compass. He'd told her he lost it during the war. He hadn't lost it. He'd given it away. Dorothy picked up the compass. It was cold, heavy. The needles spun slowly, then settled north. She thought of Patrick, their wedding day in 1947. The way he looked at her, present but distant, like watching through glass. Once she'd asked him if he loved her. Of course, he'd said, but he'd hesitated. Just a second, long enough to notice. She'd ignored it. After the war, everyone ignored some things. Battle trauma, grief. You didn't press. You didn't ask. But now she knew. Patrick had loved her. She believed that. But he loved someone else first. Someone he could never forget. Someone who died 50 years ago, but still lived inside him. Dorothy closed the box. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just sat there in the cold attic and felt the weight of a secret she'd carried unknowingly. Dorothy called her daughter that evening. Sarah, 43 years old, lawyer in Boston. Sharp, practical, she answered on the second ring. "Mom, are you okay? I found something," Dorothy said. Her voice was steady, too steady. "In the attic." "What kind of thing?" "Letters. From your father." Silence on the other end. "To who?" Sarah asked carefully. "A woman named Camille. In France, during the war." More silence. Dorothy could hear traffic in the background. "Boston rush hour. How many letters?" Sarah asked. 9. Sarah exhaled slowly. "What do they say?" Dorothy closed her eyes. That he loved her. The line went quiet. Dorothy heard a car horn. Someone was yelling. "Mom," Sarah said finally, "Dad loved you. You were married 46 years." "I know," Dorothy said, "but he loved her first, and he never stopped." Sarah didn't argue. She couldn't. "What are you going to do?" she asked. Dorothy looked at the metal box on the kitchen table. "I'm going to find her." "Mom, she's probably dead," Dorothy finished. "I know, but I need to know what happened. I need to understand." Sarah was quiet for a long moment. "Do you want me to come there?" "No," Dorothy said. "I need to do this alone." Dorothy spent 2 weeks researching. She called the Department of Defense. They had Patrick's service records, 82nd Airborne, jumped on D-Day, wounded twice, honorable discharge in 1945. She called the National Archives. They had casualty lists from occupied France, resistance members, executed civilians. On the third day, she found it. Rousseau, Camille, born March 14th, 1922, executed June 2nd, 1944. Caen, France, resistance agent. Dorothy read the entry 5 times. June 2nd, 4 days before D-Day, 4 days before Patrick jumped. He'd gone back to look for her, and she was already dead. Dorothy thought of the 9th letter. "I'm sorry. I have to do this." Patrick knew. On some level, he knew he might be too late, but he went anyway. Dorothy bought a plane ticket to France on December 3rd, 1993. She'd never been to Europe, never wanted to. Travel made her anxious. Foreign languages, different food, strange places. But now she was going. Sarah tried to talk her out of it. "Mom, it's winter. You don't speak French. What are you even looking for?" "Answers." "To what?" Dorothy didn't know how to explain it. She just knew she had to go. The flight was 8 hours. Dorothy didn't sleep. She read the letters again, all 9. By the time they landed in Paris, she'd memorized every word. Caen was smaller than Dorothy expected. Gray buildings, narrow streets, a cathedral rebuilt after the war. The city felt old, tired, like it was still recovering from something that happened 50 years ago. Dorothy checked into a small hotel near the train station. The woman at the desk spoke some English. "I'm looking for information," Dorothy said, "about someone who died here during the war." The woman's expression changed, sympathetic, careful. "Many people died here during the war, Madame." Her name was Camille Rousseau. She was in the resistance. The woman frowned, thought for a moment. "Rousseau, I know that name. There is a memorial at the cemetery. Many resistance fighters are remembered there. Can you tell me how to get there?" The woman drew a map on hotel stationery. 10 minutes by taxi, 5 kilometers. Dorothy took the map. "Thank you." The cemetery was on the edge of town. Stone walls, Rows of white crosses, a memorial wall with names carved into granite. Hundreds of names, thousands. Dorothy walked slowly. Her hip hurt. She should have brought her cane, but left it at the hotel. She was stubborn. Patrick used to call her stubborn. The memorial wall was in the center of the cemetery. Names were organized by year of death. Dorothy found 1944. She ran her finger down the list. Rousseau, Camille, 1922-1944, Résistante. Below the name was a small photograph. Black and white, a young woman, dark hair, serious eyes. She wasn't smiling. Dorothy stared at the photograph for a long time. This was her, the woman Patrick loved, the woman he thought about every day for 50 years. She looked so young. Dorothy felt something crack in her chest. It wasn't anger. It wasn't jealousy. It was something else. Grief. For Patrick. For Camille. For all the years Patrick carried this alone. Dorothy found a bench near the memorial. She sat. She took out the letters. She read the 9th one again. Always find your way home. Patrick had given Camille his compass. His grandfather's compass. The thing he valued most. And Camille had died 4 days before she could find it. Dorothy wondered what Camille thought in her final moments. Did she think of Patrick? Did she regret sending him away? Did she know he came back? Dorothy would never know, but she knew one thing. Patrick came back. He jumped into Normandy. He searched for her in every village. He tried. That was the man Dorothy married. The man who tried. The man who kept his word, even if it cost him everything. Dorothy stayed in France for 3 days. She visited the cemetery every morning, sat on the bench, read the letters, looked at Camille's photograph. On the 3rd day, an elderly woman approached her. She was in her 70s, gray hair, a cane. She spoke French. Dorothy shook her head. I don't speak French. I'm sorry. The elderly woman switched to heavily accented English. You come here every day. You read letters. Who are you looking for? Dorothy hesitated. Camille Rousseau. The elderly woman's expression changed. Did you know Camille? No, but my husband did, during the war. The elderly woman sat beside her. What was his name? Patrick Whitmore. He was American. A paratrooper. The elderly woman was silent for a moment. Then she said something Dorothy didn't expect. Camille told me about him. Dorothy's heart stopped. You knew her? We worked together. In the resistance. I was 17. She was 21. She saved my life twice. Dorothy's hands trembled. What did she say about him? The elderly woman looked at the memorial wall. She said he was kind. She said he made her feel less alone. She said she sent him away because she didn't want him to die for her. Did she? Dorothy struggled with the words. Did she love him? The elderly woman nodded slowly. Yes, but she never said so. Not to me, not to anyone. Camille didn't talk about feelings. She just worked. She just fought. Dorothy felt tears building behind her eyes. She died 4 days before D-Day. I know, the elderly woman said quietly. Someone informed on her. The Gestapo arrested her May 17th. They interrogated her for 2 weeks. She didn't talk. She gave them nothing. How do you know? Because none of us were arrested. She protected us to the end. Dorothy wiped her eyes. My husband jumped on D-Day. He went to look for her. He didn't know she was already dead. The elderly woman reached into her pocket and pulled out something small. Brass, a compass. Dorothy's breath caught. Camille gave this to me, the elderly woman said. The day before the Gestapo took her. She said I needed to keep it if I survived the war. She said it belonged to someone who taught her that home isn't a place, but a promise. She held it out. I think it belongs to you now. Dorothy took it with shaking hands. She turned it over. Read the inscription. Always find your way home. She kept it. Dorothy whispered. Until the very end, the elderly woman said. Dorothy returned to Pennsylvania on December 10th, 1993. Sarah picked her up at the airport. How was it? Hard. They drove in silence for 10 minutes. Then Sarah asked the question Dorothy had been dreading. Are you angry? At Dad? Dorothy thought about it. Really thought. No, she said finally. I'm not angry. Why not? Because he chose me. Dorothy said. Camille died. Patrick survived. He could have spent the rest of his life grieving, but he didn't. He built a life. He married me. He raised you and your brother. He showed up every day for 46 years. But he was thinking about her. Sarah said. Yes. Dorothy said. He was, but he was also here with me. That took courage too. Sarah pulled into the driveway. She turned off the engine. What are you going to do with the letters? Dorothy looked at the compass in her hand. I'm going to keep them. Both compasses. The letters, all of it. Why? Because it's part of who he was. And I loved who he was. All of him, even the parts I didn't know. Dorothy Sullivan died in 2001. She was 76 years old. She was buried next to Patrick in a cemetery outside Philadelphia. Before she died, she left instructions. In her coffin, placed by her hand, 9 letters, 2 compasses, and a photograph of a young woman with dark hair and serious eyes who never smiled. But Sarah found them going through her mother's things. She read the letters. All 9. She held the compasses. She looked at Camille's photograph, and she understood. Love isn't simple. It doesn't follow rules. It doesn't fit into neat categories of right and wrong. Patrick loved Camille. He loved Dorothy too. Both were true, both were real, and Dorothy spent her final years not erasing Camille, honoring her, making room for her in the story, acknowledging that the man she married was shaped by someone he lost. That took a kind of love Sarah couldn't name. Maybe forgiveness, or grace, or something bigger than both. Patrick and Camille's story is one of thousands from the war. Soldiers who fell in love in impossible places. Civilians who risked everything for strangers. Promises made, broken, and kept in ways no one expected. Most of these stories stayed buried, lost in attics, forgotten in archives, carried in silence to the grave. This one survived because Dorothy Sullivan found a little box and decided truth mattered more than comfort. Because sometimes the greatest act of love isn't holding on. It's making room for what came before, honoring the ghosts without becoming one. Camille Rousseau died at 22, but she lived for 50 years in letters no one read, in a compass that crossed oceans, in the heart of a man who tried to forget her and couldn't. And in the end, Dorothy carried her too. Not with bitterness, not with jealousy, with understanding. Because love, real love, makes room for complicated truths, for what was, what could have been, and what actually is. And sometimes those who remain carry these truths forward, not by erasing the past, but by holding it carefully, by saying, this mattered, this was real, this shaped everything. That's how stories survive, not through perfection, through people brave enough to tell the whole truth, even when it hurts. Especially then, what I understood from this story is, some loves are stronger than even war. But the real story is hidden in Dorothy, the woman who learned 50 years later that her husband loved someone else. And, you know, aren't most of us like Dorothy? There are people left in the past, within all of us, or people who left us in the past. I found more stories about this, real ones hidden in documents. In the next video, I'll tell you another Dorothy story, but this time, the ending is much more bitter. I don't know if you're ready, but I'm ready. Goodbye.